You know, God's heart is for the whole world. God is not a white, Anglo-Saxon, American, Republican voting God. Okay? He's much more than that. For God so loved the world. He didn't just love the United States. He didn't just love white people. He loves everybody. And I'll tell you what, He must love the Chinese more than He does Americans. And I've said this before. You know why I figured that out? See, I'm a college graduate too, Jonathan, so I figured this out. He made more Chinese than He did anybody else. So He must love them. Here to tell his story about he and his wife's love for China, Mr. John Bentley. He is an attorney. He graduated from UCLA. He received his law degree from Regent University. And now he lives in Beijing, China. Let's welcome him to Celebration. John, God bless you. It's so great to have you. So you were living what a lot of people would term the American dream. Got your law degree, you're practicing law, you got the wife, the kids, you got the nice cars, the nice home in suburbia, but you weren't totally happy or fulfilled. Why?
Well, that's right. You know, we said that our life was like a 7-Up that somebody opened up and sat on the counter for 4 hours. It was sweet, but it was flat. And, you know, in our country, we're taught to chase the American dream. The American dream is achieving comfort, stability, and success. But Jesus offers something better than that. He said, I've come to give life and life abundant. And so abundant life in Christ is not going after comfort and stability. It's setting aside those things and doing some really radical things for the Lord as He calls you to. And then what happens is a great thing. That happiness that we all look for, it comes from outside. It descends upon us from another place.
Tell us a story about the bar exam. I heard you went through some interesting trials with that. And
well, you know, I was an officer in the Army, and I owed them 4 years because they'd given me a scholarship. And when it came time for me to leave the service, I was praying, God, what do you want me to do in life? And the answer I got back is, I want you to go to law school. Right before we went to law school, I read George Mueller's biography. Just a remarkable story of someone who lived his life completely by faith.
Yes.
And so we decided if God could do it for George, He could do it for us. And we went through law school on faith. We didn't have money to pay the first month's utility bill, let alone 3 years of private law school. And we graduated debt-free. After 3 years, God provided manna from heaven.
Remarkable.
But when I took the bar exam, after 3 years of God providing for us, I called up to Bellevue, the state bar, and they said, you didn't pass. And I thought, you know, God, this doesn't make any sense at all. You miraculously provide for us to go to law school for 3 years. $100,000 came in over that time period, always at a different time in a different way, only for us not to pass. Right. That doesn't make any sense at all.
So what happened?
Well, what happened was I got laid off from the firm, and I'm just very spiritually confused. God, what are you doing in my life right now? And about that time, shortly after that, I got a call from this Christian organization, and they said, is there any way that you'd be available to go to China right now? And
And if you had been still employed by the law firm, you wouldn't have been available
Indeed.
to go.
Exactly. So I went out to China, and they sent me all expenses paid. I was out for a 6-week assignment teaching 2 classes. And one night I received a phone call in my apartment, and I picked up the phone, and this lady with a New Zealand accent said, are you John Bentley, the American lawyer? And I said, well, sort of. And she said, well, my name is Sandra King, and I'm working here with orphans in China. And I'm supposed to submit these documents to the government to open a children's home, and I don't know how to do it. I'm just a mom. And so she said, I prayed and said, God, you're just going to have to send a Christian lawyer here to help me. And she said the Lord answered her and said, I already have. He's in the city right now. And so she said, I just want you to know that God sent you here to help me.
And so fast forward just a little bit about the bar exam, because we don't leave us hanging with
okay,
that.
all right. So what happened was I helped Sandra, and I did the best I could. They translated my work into Mandarin, and she got the approval that she needed.
Fantastic.
And then on Christmas Eve at midnight, the phone rang in my apartment and woke me out of my sleep. I had class the next day.
Now, this is an apartment in China.
In China, at Guangdong University of Foreign Studies. And I thought, who's calling me at this hour? I had class because Chinese don't celebrate Christmas. And I picked up the phone. It was my wife, Lisa, calling from the U.S., and she said, "Is this John Bentley Esquire?" And I said, "What do you mean?" She said, "We just got a letter from the Bar Association. You did pass the bar exam."
All right, John, what a great Christmas present.
Indeed.
That is so awesome.
Yeah, you know, God had to make me think I didn't pass so I get laid off, so I could go there and complete His assignment to help this one woman halfway across the planet who is praying. And there's really three aspects of our ministry. The first is that Lisa and I have a heart for orphans, so we have a home for orphan children, and we take them through our 3 Steps to Hope program.
Art, is that the building there in China?
Yes, it is. Yep. And the first step is foster care at our home. Second step is surgery to fix their special needs, and the third step is adoption. So we always say we're not an orphanage. An orphanage is a warehouse for children. We are a recycling center.
Oh, that is so great.
So that's the first aspect. The second aspect is that we work in the inland of China. So much of Christian philanthropy comes into the major centers like Beijing and Shanghai. We wanted to go to those places where most of the Chinese people live, that not much is happening, because there's the old saying that it's better to light a candle than to curse the darkness.
Yes.
The third aspect of our work is our work with the Chinese government. God gave me the gift of law, and so I organized a delegation of Christian leaders, evangelical leaders that came to China 2 years ago and met with the government at very high levels, the Communist Party. And you know, they really didn't have a very good opinion of us before we came over there. Max Lucado led that delegation, and after we left, they had a different opinion.
That's wonderful.
And so since then, we've been working on an initiative to start an Institute for Law and Religious Freedom and some other things like that. All of this, though, is not to undermine the government at all. It's to bless them, to come alongside them in their difficulties and to help them.
That's neat how you're involved in so many different aspects over there. In what way can our viewers help get involved in what you're doing?
Well, you know, you could go to our website. It's www.harmonyoutreach.org.